The confession I've been dreading for months, maybe even years, and now it feels like a physical weight crushing my chest. My husband, bless his heart, is the kindest, most trusting man alive. He works his butt off, often taking grueling international assignments for weeks, sometimes months, to give us a better life, to build our dream. While he was thousands of miles away, busting his ass for us, enduring lonely hotel rooms and time zone shifts, I was here, in our shared bed, with another man. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. He came home last night, jet-lagged but smiling, and the first thing he did was hug me so tight I thought I'd break. He's looking at me with those loving eyes, talking about our future, about starting a family, and I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of guilt and self-loathing. The secret is eating me alive, turning every loving glance into a dagger. I need to get this off my chest, but the thought of destroying him, of shattering his trust and our entire life, is utterly unbearable. How do I even begin to confess something so monstrous? The loneliness started subtly, a quiet hum beneath the surface of my busy days. Mark had been gone for 3 weeks, and while I was used to his absences, this one felt different. He'd taken on a particularly demanding project in Singapore, a crucial step for his career, which meant longer hours, more intensive work, and less frequent, often strained video calls. Our conversations became clipped, punctuated by his exhaustion and the ever-present 6-hour time difference. He was living on instant coffee and adrenaline. I was here, in our spacious, increasingly silent house, trying to fill the void. I'd throw myself into work, spend evenings with friends, take up new hobbies, anything to avoid the quiet emptiness that would settle in once the lights were out. The dog was asleep, and the only sound was the hum of the refrigerator. That's when I met Liam. He was a new client at the marketing agency where I work, a charismatic, quick-witted architect with a booming laugh and an easy smile. Our initial interactions were strictly professional, but he had a way of making even mundane discussions feel engaging. He'd linger a moment too long after meetings, his eyes holding mine, a subtle current of something undeniable passing between us. I dismissed it, of course. I was a married woman, happily married, deeply in love with my husband. Liam was just a friendly, attractive colleague, nothing more. But the loneliness gnawed. Mark called less, sometimes just a quick text message to say he was swamped. I understood, truly, but understanding didn't make the nights any shorter or the bed any colder. One particularly frustrating evening, after a call with Mark that ended abruptly due to a technical glitch, leaving me feeling even more disconnected, Liam sent me a text. It was about a minor detail for the upcoming campaign, but then it morphed into a casual chat about our day, our interests. He was engaging, attentive, and most importantly, present. He listened when I vented about a difficult client, offered genuine advice, and made me laugh. It was innocent at first, just late-night texting, a digital lifeline. Then came the work dinner. Our team was celebrating a successful quarter, and Liam was there. The wine flowed, inhibitions loosened, and his charm became almost intoxicating. He sat beside me, his knee occasionally brushing mine under the table, his hand finding my arm as he made a point, sending a jolt through me that I hadn't felt in years, not since the early days with Mark. I told myself it was just the alcohol, the atmosphere. But as the night wound down and colleagues started to leave, Liam suggested we grab one more drink, just the two of us, to decompress. I hesitated, a small voice of warning in my head, but the bigger, louder voice of loneliness, of craving connection, won out. We ended up at a quiet bar, talking for hours. He made me feel seen, truly seen, in a way I realized I hadn't felt in a long time. He spoke about his passions, his struggles, his dreams, and listened intently to mine. He didn't mention his marital status, and I certainly didn't mention Mark. It was an escape, a bubble where only we existed. As we walked out, the cool night air hitting my face, he stopped me under a street lamp. His hand reached out, gently cupping my cheek. He whispered, "You're beautiful," his thumb stroking my skin. The world tilted. Every fiber of my being screamed wrong. But another part, a desperate, starved part, leaned into his touch, and then he kissed me. It wasn't a gentle, questioning kiss. It was passionate, hungry, and I kissed him back with a fervor that shocked me, a torrent of suppressed emotions breaking free. That night, I went home with him. The morning after was a blur of conflicting emotions. Shame, hot and consuming, warred with a strange, fleeting sense of exhilaration. I woke up in an unfamiliar bed, the scent of a strange man on the pillows, and the reality of what I had done crashed down on me. I slipped out before he woke, leaving a mumbled excuse about an early meeting. The drive home was agonizing, my mind a whirlwind of justifications and self-condemnation. How could I have done this? To Mark? To us? He was working tirelessly, sacrificing so much, and I had betrayed him in the most fundamental way possible. I vowed it would never happen again. It was a moment of weakness, a lapse in judgment, an anomaly fueled by alcohol and a deep-seated loneliness. I would bury it, forget it, and move on.
But the problem with moments of weakness, especially when fueled by a potent cocktail of emotional neglect and intoxicating attention, is that they have a way of repeating themselves. Liam wasn't going to just disappear. He was a client. He was also persistent. He texted, he called, he found reasons to extend meetings, to collaborate after hours. He made it clear he was interested, and despite my internal protests, despite the guilt gnawing at me, I found myself drawn to him. He offered a kind of immediate, tangible presence that Mark, being thousands of miles away, simply couldn't. Liam was here, now, in person, offering laughter, conversation, and a touch that made me feel alive again, even if it was a fleeting, poisoned vitality. The once became twice with alarming ease, then multiple times. It was never planned. It just happened. A late-night work session, a drink that turned into two, a shared glance that lingered, and suddenly we were in his apartment again, or sometimes, devastatingly, in a hotel room, a deliberate effort to keep it away from our home. Each time, the immediate aftermath was a torrent of regret and self-loathing, a promise to myself that this would be the last time. But the promises were hollow. The cycle continued, each transgression chipping away at my conscience, making the next one slightly easier, slightly less shocking. I became adept at compartmentalizing, at shoving the ugly truth into a dark corner of my mind, only to have it resurface with a vengeance whenever Mark's name came up. My life became a meticulously constructed facade. By day, I was the capable, cheerful marketing manager, planning campaigns and strategizing. By night, I was a woman leading a double life. I'd have intense, guilt-ridden phone calls with Mark, listening to him recount his day, talk about our future, express how much he missed me. All while a text from Liam might be buzzing on my silent phone beside me. I'd conjure up elaborate stories to explain my late nights, my sudden absences, working late on a big project, or dinner with Sarah and the girls. The lies slipped off my tongue with increasing ease, each one a fresh betrayal, building a towering wall between myself and the man I was supposed to love and honor. The emotional toll was immense. I started sleeping less, plagued by nightmares of exposure, of Mark discovering my deceit. My appetite dwindled. I found myself irritable, snapping at friends, withdrawing from social gatherings that felt too close to scrutiny. The person I was becoming was unrecognizable to me. I hated her,
despised her weakness, her capacity for such profound dishonesty. Yet, I couldn't seem to stop. Liam became a destructive habit, an addiction I couldn't shake. He never pressured me, never demanded more, which perversely made it harder to cut him off. He was just there, always available, always understanding, always making me feel desired. It was a sick kind of comfort. The closer Mark's return date loomed, the more panicked I became. The bubble of my double life was about to burst. I tried to pull away from Liam, to create distance. I started declining his invitations, making excuses, ignoring his texts for longer periods. He noticed, of course. He asked what was wrong, if everything was okay. I told him Mark was coming home soon, and I needed to focus on that. He seemed to accept it, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes, a possessiveness I hadn't seen before. It scared me. What if he wasn't going to let go so easily? What if he felt entitled to more? Then, the final days before Mark's arrival were a frantic scramble to erase all traces of Liam. I went through my phone, deleting every text message, every photo, every email, scouring my call logs. I scrubbed our bedroom, changed the sheets, lit candles, trying to physically and emotionally cleanse the space. I threw away any small gifts Liam had given me, a cheap novelty pen, a business card, even a takeout menu from a place we'd ordered from. It felt like I was trying to scrub my own soul clean, but the stains were too deep. I rehearsed scenarios in my head, imagining conversations with Mark, planning what I would say, what I wouldn't. I forced myself to think only of Mark, of our life, of the love we share. Trying to convince myself that this whole affair was a monstrous aberration, a temporary insanity, and that the real me was still here, waiting for him. He landed yesterday morning. I was at the airport, my stomach in knots, a smile plastered on my face that felt completely foreign. When I saw him walking through customs, tired but with that familiar warmth in his eyes, my heart ached. He looked so happy to see me, his face lighting up as he spotted me in the crowd. He rushed forward, pulling me into a hug that squeezed the breath out of me. "God, I missed you," he mumbled into my hair, his arms tight around me. I hugged him back, burying my face in his shoulder, inhaling his familiar scent, and the full weight of my betrayal crashed down on me. It was a physical blow. The feel of his honest, loving embrace, knowing what I had done, made me feel like the most despicable person on earth. I could barely meet his gaze.
He was jet-lagged, exhausted, but his joy at being home was palpable. He spent the entire taxi ride telling me about his trip, showing me pictures of landmarks, talking about the challenges and triumphs of his project. He talked about our future, about finally having the time to work on the nursery, about weekend trips we'd planned. He even pulled out a small, intricately carved wooden bird he'd bought for me, saying it reminded him of my laugh. Each word, each gesture of love felt like a fresh stab. I nodded, I smiled, I made appropriate responses. But inside, I was screaming. My own voice felt like a lie. Every affectionate touch, every loving glance from him felt like a brand, searing my skin. I was trapped in a cage of my own making, the bars fashioned from deceit and guilt. Last night, he fell asleep almost instantly. A deep, contented sleep, born of exhaustion and the comfort of being home. I lay awake beside him, staring at the ceiling, the darkness amplifying my torment. His arm was casually thrown over me, his hand resting on my hip, a gesture of ownership and affection that now felt entirely undeserved. I could feel the secret,
heavy and suffocating, lodged in my throat. It was a living thing, feeding on my peace, transforming every beautiful memory we shared into something tainted and ugly. I kept replaying Liam's touch, his voice, juxtaposing it with Mark's gentle presence, and the contrast was sickening. How could I have been so selfish, so reckless, so utterly cruel? The thought of confession is terrifying. It's not just about me or about him. It's about us, our dream house, the life we've built, the future we've meticulously planned. All of it could shatter into a million pieces. I imagine his face, the slow dawning comprehension, the disbelief, the heartbreak, the light in his eyes extinguished, the trust irrevocably broken. I see him packing a bag, walking out, leaving me alone with the ruins of everything. And I deserve it. I know I do. I deserve the pain, the loneliness, the loss. But the thought of inflicting that pain on him, on the man who loves me so unconditionally, who has sacrificed so much for our shared life, is unbearable. It's a cruelty I don't think I can inflict. But how do I live with this? How do I look him in the eye every day, knowing the magnitude of my deception? How do I let him touch me, knowing I've been with another man? How do I plan a family with him, knowing the foundation of our marriage is a lie? The weight of this secret is a constant, grinding pressure. It's suffocating me. I can't eat, I can't sleep. I'm constantly on edge, waiting for the other shoe to drop, for some random comment or subtle sign to expose me. Every time my phone buzzes, my heart leaps into my throat, fearing it's Liam or a mutual acquaintance who somehow knows. He woke up this morning, smiling, talking about making breakfast together, about spending the day just catching up. He pulled me into a long, slow kiss, and I forced myself to respond, to match his affection, all while feeling like an imposter. He's talking about how much he appreciates me, how grateful he is for my support while he was away, how excited he is for our future. He's so genuinely happy to be home, so full of love and optimism, and it's tearing me apart. I feel like I'm performing a role, living a lie, and every second of it is agony. I see the potential for complete devastation lurking just beneath the surface of our seemingly perfect life. I need to confess. I know I do. But the thought of doing it, of causing that much pain, of destroying the man I truly do love, is unbearable. It's a cruelty I don't think I can inflict. But how do I live with this? How do I look him in the eye every day, knowing the magnitude of my deception? How do I let him touch me, knowing I've been with another man? How do I plan a family with him, knowing the foundation of our marriage is a lie? The weight of this secret is a constant, grinding pressure. It's suffocating me. I can't eat, I can't sleep. I'm constantly on edge, waiting for the other shoe to drop, for some random comment or subtle sign to expose me. Every time my phone buzzes, my heart leaps into my throat, fearing it's Liam or a mutual acquaintance who somehow knows. I'm begging for advice, for guidance, for a way out of this hell.
What would you do in her shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're here, like this video and subscribe for weekly confessions. Your support and likes encourage me to keep creating more powerful stories.